And we are live. Welcome to our viewers. We don't have any yet. Susan says she's watching off politicsandguns.com, but it's not showing up on the stats, so I don't think anybody that watches us there does count on my little counter there all the time. Are either you guys in the...
I'm headed there now.
So they're not on the live page yet, so...
I'm headed to...
Everybody make sure their phones are muted, please.
Now you're live in a store, so still may hear a store phone ring.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Wave at the people. Wave at the people. You guys can't see that Sue is here tonight, so I don't have to look at just Paul's face, which is good.
Okay, yeah, I'm on the YouTube page.
All right, let's see here.
Hey, would you three guys give me a count, one after another?
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
However you spoke that, you all sound about the same volume to me.
Well, I've been watching levels, and we're all about the same level.
Oh, you've got a video. Jeez, aren't we so sophisticated now?
Well, I don't actually record. When I do this live from ABN, we don't use the feed off of. We don't use the feed off of YouTube. We use a little digital recorder that I have.
Okay.
I can't actually pull out because the cord's too short. But there's a little digital recorder here that I used, and we get the feed off of that.
How come you don't put the feed off of YouTube?
Because I get a better quality recording off the little recorder right here that goes right off the mixer.
Oh, we're darned. And it picks up everything we say goes in a...
Oh yeah, everything everybody says goes in there.
Oops.
Cat's meow.
All right, are we ready to try an open here?
Sure.
So I scroll up. There we are. You going to say hi to our advertisers, Paul?
Yes, thank you to ABN Army Surplus. Thank you, Gary, and thank you also to the NJ2AS, Frank Piamingo and the gang over there. They do a fantastic job, and we thank them for their support. Also, thank you to Concealment Solutions and maybe another sponsor here in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
I like the Canadian flag on the wall.
Thank you,
And
sir.
and the Confederate flags.
We got dozens of them, One of the nice things you can't see is actually we have South Dakota state flags up on the wall too that have where the units left to go over to Afghanistan and Iraq, and they all came in the store and signed the flags for us.
That's very nice.
We have a whole collection going back about 10 years, signatures of guys who went over, did their thing on our behalf.
We didn't get it set up tonight. We've been meaning to try and get it set up for quite a while, but we've got Gary has a HD camera on that we can set up on a little tripod and give us a wider angle view than just using the laptop that you guys see.
Yeah.
And we've been meaning to get that set up, but just haven't gotten around to it yet.
We'll get it one of these weeks.
Yeah. All right. Are we ready to kick this intro in then?
I think so.
I'm ready.
All right.
Oh, do we have any interviews, Paul?
We're going to run that Gary and goodness, Vinny. Yeah, Gary and Vinny and I did a recording after the show last week.
Do we want to talk about it in the intro?
Sure.
We could. I got a Marine for you too, just so you know.
Okay.
How? Well, then shouldn't we like write it in there since it's not in there now?
Give me a second.
In case you guys didn't hear the comment I made to Paul earlier, I just think this thing that you guys put together is like mega cool. Having a YouTube video of your show is just, or so people can watch it live, and it's just like beyond like Twilight Zone stuff. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, isn't it? You know, for a truck driver, a wrench turner, and a guy that sells financial products, we do pretty good.
You really do. I am so looking forward to helping to particularly promote the YouTube of it, where people will take their time on Saturday night to tune in for 15 or 20 minutes live and see it actually in progress. I think that is just so cool.
Yeah, right now I'm the only guy who left a comment on YouTube, so I don't know if there's anybody else there with us.
I don't even know how to look at that, but I watch Kim Commando do her radio show on that, and I watch Rush Limbaugh do his radio show on that.
Oh, okay.
And I just think it is so neat to kick on the computer and actually, you know, watch Rush doing his thing. Watch, and I don't know if you guys know Kim Commando, but talk about her.
Yeah.
She was underneath my bed.
No, dude, you just put that on YouTube.
Oh, well, it's all right though.
All right.
I think my wife knows I got a list of about 10.
All right. Let's really actually try to do this. I'm gonna take our. I'm gonna go ahead and kick our recording live, and I'll run the intro, and we'll come into it, and then I'll kick.
Oh, the good news is we weren't. Oh yeah, okay. You'll turn it. Yeah, we're already live on YouTube, but now you'll.
Got all the chat around.
I'm catching on how this works.
We've done so far, yes.
Oh, okay.
It goes still over YouTube. If somebody watches this over YouTube, they get all this.
Okay, cool.
But
all right.
the,
When you do
the
the show,
podcast listeners,
no, don't.
right?
Okay.
All right.
Got to tell them to go to YouTube and see the video.
5 seconds. Here we go. Hi, and welcome to the Polite Society Podcast, recorded live Saturday, May the 31st, 2014. I'm Paul Lathrop.
I'm John Richardson. And on today's episode, we have a discussion about veterans issues and the state of the nation's defense.
I'm Rob Morse, and we have our weekly stories of self-defense news and defensive gun use. So climb aboard.
Strap in.
And hang on, episode 240 of the Polite Society Podcast starts right now.
Dun-dun. Yep.
Great intro music, too.
Okay, let me cut that. All right, and Rob, you want to bring us back?
Okay. Hi, and welcome back. This is our personal news segment.
Hang on, sorry, I wasn't. I usually get a 5-second cue. I wasn't recording.
Okay, I thought that was the. Okay, I'll give you 5.
All right, here we go.
Hi, and welcome back. This is our personal news segment. Rachel isn't with us this episode. I was going to say this week. She's busy saving Texas at the largest political convention in the world. That's the Republican Party Convention of Texas, occurring right now in Fort Worth. What did I do with guns this week? I went out to the desert to shoot my Mosin Nagant. The local ranges don't like the steel ammo I use. The Mojo sights work, John, but they swim a little bit after a couple of rounds in the desert heat, and wow, that barrel heats up. I've got a rubber butt pad at the end of the stock, but I need a softer one because it looks like looks like somebody's been walking on my body is what it looks like.
You know, I've always heard that those Mosins that you use them to put your shoulder back in place with the
Back. That's a yes. What you've been out at the range and you'll hear something strange happens and everybody breaks into laughter. We're just using a cardboard box out there at about 80 yards to sight in, and one round went low. It hit a rock behind the target, shattered it, turned the whatever happened. Something bounced back and blew this cardboard box up. So it was like pencil hole, poof, the box goes away. I have to rebed the barrel to get, minute of accuracy, but I'm at minute of pig already, which is good enough for anything I probably want to do with that. One thing I did do, I got curious on the way back if CHL ever makes it into my county in California. I went and asked about a dozen firearms instructors what they say about guns and alcohol. The answers, I hope, will make it into our midweek show's tips and tricks segment. I also signed up to coach at a Women on Target seminar that's next Saturday.
Cool.
Yeah.
And when I read your show notes, I thought you were talking about World of Warfare or something.
World of Warcraft. There you go.
Warcraft. Yeah. I'm such a video game aficionado there.
Yeah. After all the grief that Rob and I have had about violent video games, I'm fairly certain he's not going to.
Yes, I'm going to coach them with video games. No, some other guy.
All right. Well, John, what have you been up to, man?
Well, since Wednesday, about the only thing gun-related I did was look at the empty spots where .22 ammunition used to be at Walmart. I spoke to a clerk who said they really hadn't had any in the last 3 weeks. However, we have a new Dick's Sporting Goods opening up this Friday, and I figured to hit them up when they open and see if they have any CCI mini mags, which is what I'm looking for. They're not my favorite store. They don't really support the Second Amendment, but I'll take their ammunition nonetheless.
But I'll suck it up long enough to buy their ammo.
Exactly.
All righty. How about you, Gary, man? What have you been up to?
Well, I just returned from that Memorial Weekend, so it was
Right.
catch up in the store. Just a ton of stuff. We have our police department's kind of doing something sort of cool. They're taking all their radar equipment, their binoculars, and their kind of sensitive electronics,
Right.
and they ordered hard-sided cases from a local, which is kind of nice. They ordered them from us. And the company's called Gemstart, just to give them a little plug. And the reason I do that is because they're actually manufactured in Cannon Falls, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pleasantly surprised to hear the buyers for the city of Sioux Falls come back and say, well, we'd rather buy from somebody up here in our region than somebody from, California or something. No offense, Rob.
No, good on them.
Yeah, I thought it was too. It was kind of one of those things where you sort of don't expect a city to be as a unit, that kind of way. And they were. I said, if your price is going to be competitive. So between Gemstar and us, we put together a package for the Sioux Falls Police Department for their electronics, and that was kind of fun. That was the first big project for ABN Tactical, so I really enjoyed it. That was my week.
Cool.
So are you guys in Sioux Falls or Rapid City?
We are in Sioux Falls today.
Okay.
Rapid to come sometime.
Rapid is on the other side of the state.
Yes, it is.
400 miles away.
Oh, okay.
340 to be exact, but
400 to the border, I guess. 300.
Says a trucker who gets paid by the yard.
Yeah, exactly. That's how
Yes.
far it is.
yeah, it is 340 from our yard here to the dock door at the liquor distributor we go to.
Ah, there you go. It is kind of a funny region to live in because when you think about it, Omaha, Nebraska, which is huge, is much closer.
Yes.
Minneapolis, Minnesota, St. Paul, Minneapolis-St. Paul area is much closer.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of places that are a lot closer to us than the next biggest city in South Dakota.
Well,
It's kind of weird.
and Denver is closer to Rapid City than we are.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people from Rapid go shopping in Denver rather than Sioux Falls because it's closer.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of live in sort of a weird area.
I understand. I live in a border county, so.
Well, there you go.
Well, and it's been a week since I've been on the air. I've had a student with me. I'm training a student to drive truck. And so it's been drive and sleep and drive and sleep and drive and sleep and try not to get killed. That's about my week. Students doing real good. A lot better than when we started. But I got home at we were out until 3 o'clock in the morning this morning. And I had to do a few things after the student got out of the truck, and then I finally made it home about 5 and was able to catch some sleep, and then got woken up and caught a little more sleep and got woken up. And
Well, you don't look any worse for wear. I mean, you're not any prettier than you used to be, but you don't look any worse.
I was never going to win any beauty contests, man.
Yeah, you know, Paul, I'll take that away. Paul, you look terrible.
Oh.
All right. Well, anything else we need to add in on the personal news segment?
Nothing here.
All right.
Nope.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and Gary, why don't we talk about this? This is the spot where ABN usually has their ads run. What you've done something really special with. You introduced it on the last episode that went live today as we record this one. This will go out Wednesday, but how is that going so far? You talked it up on Wednesday's live show.
Did. Matter of fact, it's actually going pretty well. In fact, I want to take a chance here, since I've got it, to say thank you to the folks in Michigan that listened to the podcast, ordered some stuff from us. Also, several different listeners in California, which have ordered some stuff from us. And Sioux City, our nice guy down there who loves our podcast,
Matt.
and comes up, Matt.
Yep.
He came up and picked up a tactical gun case. So what we've done, on our Facebook page, you will find a link that says right there, Facebook and podcast customers. So anybody listening to this podcast, you go over and you friend us over at ABN Facebook, ABN Army Surplus. You will see a link there. It's right in that pinned to the top, which will give you a pop-up, I don't know what you call these things, brochure, pamphlet, which will list, and here's just some of the items that we have where we put them aside special. Now, this isn't a price that's available in the store at all. This is just podcast and Facebook family members only. We got tactical drag bags that used to be $199, still are in our store. For podcast members, $136. Combat cases were $135. They're $93.45. Now, these are good quality stuff. This is Fox Tactical product. And modular gear bags were $92. They're $63. So we got some really, really good deals on there. And as the show progresses, I'll run through a few more of those.
Very cool. Well, let's go ahead and let's jump off into news then. Rob, I think you got the first story, man.
I do. There are rules for the rich and famous, and then there are the separate rules for the rest of us. And separate rules for the students at Brown University. Actress Emma Watson graduated from Brown this week. Sitting next to her was a personal bodyguard, wearing a cap and gown, and also open carrying a pistol. Well, so far so good, except this is a gun-free zone. Providence, Rhode Island Police and Brown University Security confirmed that the bodyguard was not working for them. That means you get to break the law if you are one of the rich and famous. This means campus security will call out the SWAT team and arrest you if you're a young woman working late nights delivering pizza while carrying a sidearm for personal protection. Well, unless you can afford your own private security detail. Now, I have no problem with the bodyguards carrying firearms. Great. I have a problem with Brown University denying self-protection to everyone else. When asked, spokesman for Brown University and Watson's publicist refused to comment.
Yeah, this is boils down to rules for thee, but not for me. I you cannot, the whole thing about this guy open carrying. I mean, it would be one thing to be concealed, but open carrying.
It was a woman. She was, yeah.
Either way, this person open carrying in a gun-free zone. Obviously, it was sanctioned by the university.
Right.
Obviously, it was sanctioned because I do not believe open carry is legal there in Rhode Island. I could be wrong. I would have to look it up, but at the very least, it would have had to have been sanctioned by the university and probably the police department, and only because of the stature of the person that was there.
Well, I think we just summed it up. The laws in Rhode Island, or at least on this campus, are my lawyer can beat up your lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not being I don't know, it's just kind of a question to play the devil's advocate. Are we sure that Rhode Island doesn't have a stipulation in its law that bodyguards have an exemption? Oftentimes, within cities and states, there are exemptions for particular situations that might exist prior to that would override Brown University's handgun policy.
I know there's a podcaster that does he's from California, and it's not Rob, but I'm trying to remember. It's Personal Defense is the name of the podcast, but
Alex Haddix.
Alex Haddix, yes, he trains armed security in California, and I know if you have a security license in California, I believe you have to be on duty, but I know you can carry, and you can carry openly.
I know some of the security guys on Long Island too, and they are, while on duty, exempted from even the new laws that New York put into place, as far as how they can carry and when they can carry and what they can purchase and when they can't. They're exempted while they're on duty if they're licensed security personnel and they are licensed within the state of New York. They actually have some exemptions. That's why I was just wondering if maybe in Rhode Island there is an exemption for this kind of case.
If I lived in Rhode Island, I'd have to seriously consider getting a personal security, and then my wife could hire me, and I just follow her around.
Well, there you go.
Well, I wonder if she...
That makes great... Susan, chime in.
She's sitting there over there giving you the look like there's no way I'm getting on that microphone. All right. Well, let's go ahead. Let's go off to the next story. Governor Eddie Calvo signed shall issue into law for the U.S. territory of Guam. The bill covers all weapons, including firearms, grants a permit for 3 years, and requires a written excuse for denial. Guam was covered by the Ninth Circuit Court's Peruta decision. The territory of Guam joins 40 states who are already shall issue. Too bad for the 10 who are slow to learn. 6 states also allow bureaucrats to arbitrarily deny concealed carry. They are Connecticut, Delaware, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and New York.
Not a surprise there at all.
Yeah, California is an apartheid state. Half of us are denied and half of us aren't. I have to mug California. Even though I live here, I'm coming to respect the legislators in Guam more than I do the legislators in California where I live.
I thought it was interesting, too, when I took a look at the article that their law, which is different than South Dakota, I don't know about California's, but their law included concealed weapons, like a nightstick or something else.
A knife.
Yeah.
Mace, knife. Yeah, they didn't parse all that. They said you're good to go.
Exactly. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you think about it. Guam, Pacific Island, Hawaii, Pacific Island, or Pacific Islands. One has good laws, one has horrible laws.
Crappy laws.
And it's not the one you would expect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, the next thing that, yes, shall issue right to carry is a big deal and is good. The other thing I'm wondering about is reciprocity. Would now that they're shall issuing, for example, the state of Illinois accepts nobody's. They have shall issue, but they accept nobody else's carry.
Mhm.
You got to get an Illinois carry permit.
I want to also, and I may be incorrect, but on the article, I think Guam said only Guam. That you
Well,
couldn't- there wasn't a reciprocity coming. If you came from South Dakota, for example, or
Right.
Minnesota with a carry and conceal, was not good in Guam. Only residents of Guam, I think. I'm not 100% positive on that, but
they're just saying that law you can only apply if you are a Guam resident. It doesn't touch reciprocity at all, from my reading.
oh, okay, all right. So we don't know if we could carry over there or not.
Not yet. So California, by the way, is the same way. Nobody's good enough to carry here from out of state.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
As a truck driver, I know that very well.
Sorry, buddy.
It's all right. I want to know why an intelligent man like yourself, Rob, and I consider I could pay you the compliment first before I jerk you back in.
Before you Okay, go ahead.
Do you live there?
I'm doing my best to, well, because so far no one will hire me and pay me to move to their new state. So
No.
I'm trying to solve that.
I got like $5 in my pocket, man. I'll pay you to come.
I'm reasonable, but I'm not that cheap, Paul.
Well, I knew Ruger was hiring engineers in North Carolina for their new plant, but
Okay.
Someday.
I'm trying. I'm pedaling as fast as I can.
Has he been up here to visit at all? Ever?
Not yet.
Rob?
Rob, yeah, I don't know. He hasn't come up here to visit me.
Okay, well,
but-
it's being extended.
Okay. Cool.
You know,
Mm.
get up here.
There you go.
We'll go shoot.
yeah, I got a range out at my dad's place. So what's next on the hit parade here on the news?
well,
John's
that's
up.
the story I've got. The power to regulate is the power to destroy. That is why banks have to listen when the Department of Justice under Operation Choke Point advised banks to refuse accounts of certain businesses. Legitimate businesses such as firearms and ammunition dealers. They also targeted porn stars, payday lenders, and online lending. So I guess, gun stores, porn stars, there's in their mind some sort of equivalence. Well, what the the Department of Justice did was take an FDIC memo about, quote, high-risk activity and started issuing subpoenas improperly under a section of the Financial Institutions Reform, Recovery, and Enforcement Act of 1989, according to a report issued Thursday by the House Oversight Committee. This act had been passed when the savings and loans were imploding and it was trying to bank against fraud against banks.
Yep.
So what happened to Mark Cohn, owner of Powderhorn Outfitters in Hyannis, Mass? He had done business with TD Bank for years. He was denied a line of credit, even though their finances were good and their credit history was spotless. The bank said they could not approve credit because Powderhorn Outfitters sells guns.
Wow.
This just is driving me nuts. We've got the federal government that's for sale, and each party in power gets to abuse everyone else as they reinterpret our million pages of regulation. I
Yep.
mean, that stinks, and we should take away Barack's phone and his pen until he straightens up.
And as the House Committee report pointed out very appropriately, when there's a change of administration, there could be other companies that were targeted. What about abortion providers, marijuana shops, etc.? They're just saying
Unions,
unions.
if we're gonna go tit for tat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is silly because, yes, gun ownership or gun sales, ammunition sales, absolutely legal. You know what? I'm almost as torqued because so is pornography. I mean, making pornography is legal. Everything on there they list is legal to do, and
I'll tell you, I've had this frustrating argument since it started in 1976.
Okay.
Cigarette smoking was the start of the process of being able to tell business owners what legal activity you could do or not do within your shop.
Yeah.
And I saw it as the slippery slope. That was the event, the Minnesota Clean Indoor Act in 1976, the first state to institute that, as a slope down. And I thought this thing is just going to get out of hand, and then it'll be another product. And as we're seeing now, it's, like you say, porn star, perfectly legal activity. Gun ammo, perfectly legal activity. Not being allowed to do this, not being covered by a bank. There's a whole list of things that are starting to now very little bit by little bit whittle away at the business owner's right not to do something illegal, but a business owner's right to do something perfectly legal, what no other law refuses to have them do, whittling away at their rights slowly.
You know, and that brings up one other thought, is that, and I see this on Facebook all the time, you know, if punitive taxes are meant to stop people from smoking, does that mean that income taxes are supposed to
stop people from making income?
Exactly.
Pretty much does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Well, also included in this list, I'm just scanning through it right now, are stuff like coin dealers.
What?
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
They're considered high-risk activity.
Oh, do you
know what?
Yeah.
They also put it in with racist materials, Ponzi schemes, pyramid-type sales, online gambling. Oh, for you guys, tobacco sales.
Yeah, figures.
I know a guy who pays, he gives employee bonuses in silver.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure, which does he get charged, the face value or the numismatic value?
You know, and I heard, and I think this may, well, I heard of a sheriff, and it was in Tennessee somewhere, and if we, God, if I called Sticks, I know he'd know, but there's a sheriff in Tennessee that negotiated to have his entire pay paid in Bitcoin because he was so nervous
about the U.S. currency. Yeah.
Currency.
Yeah. So maybe they're trying to discourage that.
I don't. John, did you want to talk about the U.S. reps?
Well, yeah. In two House reps, the House of Representatives took steps in the direction to try to correct this on Thursday when they passed an amendment to stop all federal funding used for the Department of Justice's Operation Choke Point. The amendment was brought to the floor by Representative Blaine, but don't kill this one, Luetkemeyer, a Republican from Missouri who's a member of the House Financial Services Committee and is vice chairman of the House Small Business Committee. The amendment was sponsored by 3 Democrats and two more Republicans. The voice vote came as part of the debate on the annual spending bill for the Justice Department, and unfortunately will still need Senate approval before it becomes law. Yeah.
But at least it's bipartisan in the House.
That's true.
I can only hope it goes through the Senate. Now, what do you think if it goes through the House and the Senate, the chances are of BO signing it?
It's a spending bill.
Either signs a spending bill or he doesn't get his money.
Yeah, that's true.
On the other hand, he can say, well, I'll just, spend another vaporware billion that he'll invent. Why do I need your spending bills?
Please, Rob, $1 trillion.
Here and there. Soon. I'm sorry. I'm so behind the times.
Wow.
I'm still working on my millions. All right. 2 House Democrats introduced legislation Friday tonight to deny firearms to more people. Representatives Mike Thompson, a Democrat from California, and Ed Perlmutter, Democrat from Colorado, want to prohibit gun purchases and firearms ownership to those convicted of misdemeanor stalking, as well as those receiving involuntary mental health services on an outpatient basis. Both categories would go into a newly formed FBI database. I've got a lot of comments on this because some of this craziness has been practiced in California already. It's good that a conviction is required rather than merely the accusation of stalking, because accusations like that are often used during divorce. You throw a charge at them just to, people act really badly during divorce.
Right. Well, you know, when I had this is a long time ago, and we should have him on again. Knife Rights, Doug.
Doug Ritter.
Doug Ritter.
Yeah, he and I were talking, and folks, you can go back, and it's been well over a year ago. This was on the air, but you know, Doug was saying that it's quite possible for a you know, you go through a divorce, and automatically there are protection orders thrown out. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and a protection order federally now, you're all of a sudden denied the right to buy a firearm. And so, you know, if somebody gets really torqued at you, and all they got to do is say, "Hey, you're nuts," and all of a sudden, you know,
Click.
yep, you're done. And now, you may have already mentioned this. I'm kind of bouncing around, paying attention to a lot of things, but is there an appeal process here?
I couldn't. Boy, I hope so, but I couldn't find one so far.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know whether that's part of this legislation or it's part of the original legislation to which this is just an amendment. I don't know. Yeah, what you'd hate to have happen is that a crazy bill like this would scare people away from seeking treatment if they've got mental health issues.
Yeah. You know, and that's not all that much out of the realm of possibility. I would already, before I went to go see a health professional, want to know kind of their views on things because, you know, if they're anti-gun.
Yeah, you're stuck right from the get-go. Well, and what I couldn't tell from all this was this a lifetime ban or until those charges, or did it sunset? You know, I wish I knew more.
Well, and all of us been married. I don't know how many of us have had a divorce at one point or another, but you know, marriage counseling is considered mental health process. You went to see a psychiatrist or a counselor. They may have it on the door, but that's their intent, right? So
well, it's got to be involuntary medical health services. Now, what I wonder, suppose
She
you're
made me go.
well, no, yeah. Okay, suppose your divorcing wife accuses you of domestic violence because you were yelling at each other, and she gets to the phone first.
Right.
Okay, the judge then imposes that you have to go take a anger management class. Is that called an involuntary mental health service on an outpatient basis?
Exactly.
I would say so, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
In California, our AG will call it that because he'll try and screw everybody, or she will, sorry.
Well, and we were talking about that a little bit last episode, too, about the slippery slope of the mental health issue. We know we've got to deal with it somehow. We've got to do something. But, man, every direction these people want to take us, it's not looking good.
And I've heard stuff coming out of California that's even worse than that, where you don't like your neighbor and he's been on YouTube with a gun. Well, he scares me and he loses his right to have a gun.
Yeah.
You know, I've been on YouTube with a gun.
I'm shocked. Shocked,
Yeah.
I say.
What do they call it? A firearms restraining. Your neighbor without cause can phone in a firearms restraining order. So your constitutionally enumerated civil right goes away at your neighbor's whim.
Oh, wow.
Now, is that strictly just California?
Yeah, so, please, don't scare me that way. Yes, so far it's just a bill proposed in California.
Okay. Just checking.
You bet.
Give me some hope, Gary. I'm trying to get out of here.
I'm trying. I'm running through my head now thinking, man, can I squeeze up enough to at least pay you to come work at my store part-time just so you get a break from there on vacation?
Don't worry.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next one, man. We got the government that cannot find 10 million illegal aliens says it will find 100 million firearms. Did I tell you the Santa Barbara Sheriff's Office forgot to look for the Santa Barbara murderer's name on the list of firearms owners? Yep, that's true, even though law enforcement was called by the killer's parents and his mental health counselors who were worried he was suicidal.
So California's solution after the latest crazy person does crazy things is, we've got a big unresponsive government, and what we need is An even bigger unresponsive government.
Yeah, more is better.
God, help me!
Before we go off to the next story, we've been we're running really long into this. Let's go ahead and we're gonna run the advertisement for Concealment Solutions, and we'll continue right after this.
All right, you can lose me for 5 minutes.
Does that mean you guys are going to run away and get a smoke and we'll start
can.
at 5? Okay. Just Gary. Then I may take Gary out of the next... that means Rob.
You know, that Sonic story is kind of amusing because what's Sonic known for? Drive in, drive out.
Drive in, drive out.
You know? Yeah, so I'm not going to carry in my own car. I don't friggin' think so.
And it's the same sort of stories that they always say. Well, mom's demands say, they agree to our demands. No, they say, just don't do it. They're not going to call the cops on you. They're just saying, please don't open carry.
Even if I am open carrying, that's concealing in my pickup because I'm sitting down.
Yeah.
You know? And anybody walking up would be on the other side of the room. So where they wouldn't, unless they were purposely looking around my groin area, they wouldn't notice it.
You get checked, never mind. So I'm going to give you I gave you the Ann Coulter quote, Paul.
Okay.
And John, I gave you the comment that the Santa Barbara crazy guy thinks women are porn stars.
I'm surprised he just didn't pay for it.
Yeah, just wouldn't that have been? We'd have people alive, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that would be legal.
That would be legal. There's Nevada. It's a couple hours away. Drive there.
Exactly.
All right. John's
pulling us back.
give me a 5-second warning so I can start to.
Okay. In 5. Hi, and welcome back to a continuation of the news segment of the Polite Society podcast. In better news, the Louisiana legislature passed and Governor Bobby Jindal signed into law a bill allowing suppressors to be used to take both game and non-game animals. This allows farmers and ranchers to hunt non-game animals with suppressed firearms. Think of a rancher shooting a predator like a coyote at dusk when he doesn't want to frighten his herd. He also doesn't want to scare off the second predator. So far, Montana is the only state that forbids using suppressors to take non-game animals.
You know, I always wondered why there are professional varmint hunters that ranchers will hire, and I always think of pig and coyote. There may be more that I didn't know. But why they don't use suppressed firearms. I'm sure the farmers and their neighbors would appreciate it, and it lets you get more of the predators per trip out to the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually I've heard of pig hunters actually doing that.
Good, that makes sense for them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of curious myself that Montana not allowing that kind of surprises me because Montana's got really good gun laws. And
yeah, but they're still playing by the it'll lead to poaching.
Okay, well that may actually be a tiny little bit of a concern. However, it's a suppressor, not a silencer.
Yeah, and the state is so big, you've got ears everywhere in Montana?
Yeah, I just
No. Nah.
yeah, Montana's huge.
It's a
But
bunch of real estate.
all right, next one. Life is hard, but it's harder when you're stupid. The chain of Sonic drive-through restaurants proudly announced that it was a gun-free company as of last Friday. They asked their customers not to carry, and the corporate management forbids their employees from carrying on premises. Within hours, one of their employees was robbed delivering food to a customer in Topeka, Kansas.
Yep, those gun-free zones are dangerous.
Well, Dr. John Lott asked a similar question. How can we prevent mass murders? We have part of the answer from the Santa Barbara murderer himself. This crazy man spent over 18 months meticulously planning his attack. His 141-page manifesto made it clear that he feared someone with a gun would stop him before he was able to kill as many people as he wanted. Now, here's one section where he considers when and where to attack, and I quote, "Another option was Deltopia, a day in which many young people pour in from all over the state to have a spring break party on Del Playa Street. I figured this would be the perfect day to attack Isla Vista, but after watching YouTube videos of previous Deltopia parties, I saw that there were just way too many cops walking around on such an event. It would be impossible to kill enough of my enemies before being dispatched by those damnable cops." Close quote. He told us that mass murderers fear honest men with guns. That's why the murderer attacked disarmed citizens in a gun-free zone next to campus.
Let me repeat again. Gun-free zones are dangerous.
Amen.
And a crazy man can figure that out.
Yeah. And with all the publicity he's gotten, some guy down the road will say, "Oh, he only got 6. I can do better."
Oof.
I can beat that high score.
Yeah. Well, the Santa Barbara murderer thought women were supposed to act like porn stars and sleep with him. His manifesto documents how much he hated the women who wouldn't, wanting to shame both men and women, wanting to shame both men and firearms in one life. The anti-gun group Moms Demand Action made up data and said that U.S. women make up the vast majority of those women killed with firearms. Dr. Lott dug up the real data and called the Bloomberg group a bunch of liars.
I posted the picture, the graph that shows that the United States is pretty average compared to other countries. So I'm going to ask you, please support Dr. Lott's I will learn how to talk. Please support Dr. Lott's Crime Prevention Research Center with a monthly donation. I did. I think, John, you did?
Well, I can't say it's a monthly, but I did make a fairly substantial donation.
Thank you. It was more than was it as much as a box of ammo?
It was probably as much as a box of 375 H&H. Let's just put it that way, or more.
Well, bless you. Thank you.
Okay, well, and I want to know, just looking at that real quickly, what the heck's up with Iceland?
They had one murder, and it was a woman. So 100% of the women were victims in Iceland.
Okay, that's that. Okay, that was everything. Yeah. Real average, and all of a sudden Iceland, boom. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get to our gun quote, and this one is from Ann Coulter. She said, "The most crazed religious fanatic argues in more calm and reasoned tones than liberals responding to statistics on concealed carry permits." Hang on, everybody. We'll be right back right after this from the NJ2AS.
Rachel would normally take this one from Texas.
I was going to say, because North Harris County is Houston.
Yep. So you get Georgia, John?
Sure, I'll do Georgia.
And what we're going to do is for podcast well, let us finish.
Go ahead. Because this came in from my friend Scott. I want to read the first one if you wouldn't mind.
Not a problem.
Okay. Is Gary back? Yeah, there he is.
I have been back.
Yeah, but I've had my head down and welded in the show notes.
What we're going to do is we're going to run at this point in the podcast. We'll go ahead and run that veterans talk, and we'll.
What was his name?
Vinny
Brown.
Vinny Brown.
Do we want to talk about that talk, or?
Sure. We can talk about that coming back in. Then we're going to be going into the DGU segment.
So yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. These guys haven't heard it yet, so they can't really say much about it. But I actually thought it was a really good talk. You guys will have to actually listen to the podcast.
Cool.
It was a really good talk.
I agree. Thought it was very well done. I was surprised. Vinny did a wonderful job.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and I was tickled pink because I would not necessarily have thought that he would have been able to sit down and that comfortably articulate his time and how he sees it in relationship to the way the military is working now. I thought he did a wonderful job.
Yeah. Especially, I thought he did an especially good job when I asked him about the effectiveness of the military now downsizing has started taking effect, and I thought his answer was just amazing.
Yeah, he did a really wonderful job. Like I mentioned to you too, there is a customer of ours who is a Marine, not very long out of the service.
Okay.
That would love to sit down with you. I explained to him a little bit about what we were going to do, what we were doing, and invited him to come next Saturday or the Saturday after that or whatever and meet you, and he's open to that. So
if he shows up next Saturday, man, I'm going to look real strange. But Saturday after that, by the way, everybody, Saturday after 2 weeks from today, Shelly Sorensen, 1 Million Moms Against Gun Control, has got some stuff she's going to be promoting, including a gun raffle, and I'm going to give her a little bit of airtime. So
wonderful one.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go ahead and come back. I'll bring us back. I'll talk with. Mary and I'll bounce back a little post-mortem on the veterans talk, and then we'll get straight into DGUs, and we'll throw to you when we. I just really wanted to just 15, 20 seconds on the. So if we're ready, are we ready? I should actually look to see. Do I have one? Yes, I do.
Do we want to comment here? Yeah, let's. This is where we tend to hurry, and this is where we need to slow down.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on.
Just 1 second. I took a bite of a hours-old burger.
Is that a chain?
No. A McDonald's burger I bought a few hours ago.
It's the opposite of fast food. We will sell no burger before it's time.
That was quick, Rob. That was quick.
It's fast food for slow people.
Hey, I've been called a lot of things, and actually, recently, slow has been one of them.
For me, that means they're being nice to me.
All right, let's come back in 5. Hey, and welcome back. For podcast listeners, man, you've got to tune in and watch us sometime live on YouTube. or Google Plus, you miss a great amount of stuff when you when you are just getting the podcast. We record every Wednesday night and Saturday night. Go to politicsandguns.com/live, and you can hear the sausage being made. But Gary, we had that was actually a really good talk we had with Vinny and about veterans
It
and
was.
the state of defense of United States.
I agree. Vinny represented the U.S. Navy very well, I thought, and kind of up-to-date information. You know, we should consider and following up a little bit because lots happened in the last 4 or 5 days. Lots happened in the last 2 days. You know,
Yeah,
with,
just yesterday, Shinseki resigned.
Yep, Shinseki resigned, and Carney, thank the Lord, resigned. I feel sort of kind of bad for that guy. But,
You know, yeah, but have you guys?
Sorry for Carney.
well, I do. When over the years we've all watched the press, and just not gun control, but abortion is an issue. You think about the things that Carney's had to deal with, and we all know, everybody, I think even any liberal, with half a brain understands that he's told he has to go out there and basically, figment of my imagination, come up with something that makes his administration look good.
Yeah, he has to pull something out of somewhere very dark.
It really does.
Mhm.
Fast and Furious, Benghazi, the VA thing. How many of them can we name? This poor guy has put himself out there, and all of a sudden, 6, 8, 10 things in a row, kabang, 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 kabang.
Mhm.
He had to be at the point where he, honest to God, had to throw up his arms and say, please get me out of here.
Let me go home to my communist
it.
posters.
Jesus Lordy. Can't take it anymore. So,
And have,
Baghdad Bob was busy.
well, and have you guys seen the replacement? This
I
guy
would have commented about him.
Bad Bob.
Well, I actually
No, I
have a
haven't
comment about him in the later on.
Okay.
Well, let's go ahead and let's get off to the DGUs because that's what we're supposed to be doing here. Rob, you've got the first one, man.
Yeah, and this one was emailed in by listener Scott Gibbons. I've met Scott, so I want to add a personal shout out. Thank you. A 28-year-old Marine veteran sat down to lunch in North Harris County, Texas, when he noticed two men dressed in hoodies with bandanas over their faces were running into and out of a GameStop video center. They were stuffing cash, video games, and Xboxes into their car trunk. The Marine walked out to his truck when one of the robbers pointed a gun at him. This Marine has a Texas concealed handgun license and was carrying at the time. He shot the robber where he stood, and the robber fled to his getaway car. The second criminal simply turned and headed the other way. Bystanders reported that that criminal was stripping off his hoodie and bandana as he ran from the shopping center. The first robber died at the scene, while the second was picked up by police in a nearby shopping center. Police investigators released the veteran after questioning. He wasn't hurt, but was pretty shaken up by the experience. Bystanders said, "This is our neighborhood, and I just want to say thank you. My kids go to that GameStop."
outstanding job, sir.
Yeah, agreed. Very much.
We have a lot of veterans in our country, and the notion that you're going to point, as a criminal, you're going to point a gun at the average citizen now and bet he's going to be intimidated. You know, I'm in San Diego County. There are a lot of vets here. You'd have to pick your victim pretty carefully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of. I think it says something that the gentleman didn't do anything until he was actually fired on. He
Right.
stayed. He stayed. I mean, look, it sounded like he was paying attention. He was trying to be a good witness, but when the bad guy raised the firearm, pointed at him, yeah, what are you gonna do? You're in it then.
Yeah. Now you're involved.
Yes. kind of like the old saying, you're committed at
Or
that.
no, yeah, now you're committed. There you go.
Yeah.
The chicken is involved in the bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich. The pig is committed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Seriously, guys, I've never heard any of those.
All I can say is for the Marine, I bet he preferred these rules of engagement.
I'll bet you're right. Yeah, absolutely. And again, kudos to him. Good band to be able to do that.
Thank you, sir.
Next one, John. I think you're up.
Yes, the next one comes from a suburb of Atlanta. 3 men knocked on an apartment door early Thursday morning. The resident answered her door in the Laurel Ridge Apartments of East Point, Georgia. The men claimed they were with the East Point Police Department and they tried to force their way into the apartment when the woman cracked the door to look. One of the intruders had a gun, but the resident was ready with her own handgun. She fired 3 times and struck one of the teens in the head and buttocks. Police captured the injured teen, but his accomplices have escaped. Neighbors said that they were glad their neighbor was armed.
I would bet that, well, of course, one of them is going to be paying the price, if nothing else, through injury. But the other two, I imagine they might, well, I don't know. I would hope if they had a brain in their head, they might think twice about performing that kind of action again.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, when I read the article, the neighbors said that they were tired of the crime. They were glad the kid wasn't killed, but they wanted this to stop.
Yeah. Well, and again, it sounded like an injured teen that was shot in the head.
Yeah, he's lucky.
Yeah, amazingly lucky. A headshot doesn't sometimes kill. Again, if you are shot, you're not out of the fight if you're on our side.
Yeah.
Well, this DGU couldn't happen to a nicer guy. On the west side of Detroit, 2 criminals were robbing and beating their victim late Monday night. One of the criminals was busy pistol whipping the victim when the gun he was holding went off and struck the other criminal in the neck. The Detroit News doesn't report if the wounded criminal died at the scene or was transported to the hospital. But, whoopsie, I guess you have to keep the finger off the trigger when you're pistol whipping somebody.
It's hard to get those safety fundamentals down when you're beating somebody with a handgun.
Wow.
Well, but I mean, look at this. We talked about it on Wednesday, Paul. In late April, in one weekend, there were 39 shootings in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a tragedy when 6 kids get killed in California, but we have 6 rich white kids in a party school, and then the media and the legislature yawns when a bunch of brown people are getting killed in Detroit and Chicago.
You're absolutely right. The death toll in any weekend in Chicago is going to be bigger than what happened in Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
When you think about mass shootings,
And the media hasn't paid much attention at all to the 3 roommates who were knifed and hammered to death.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what it was? They were beaten with a hammer?
I think he knocked him in the head and then hacked him with a knife.
Wow.
Gary, you were saying something. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, when you look at mass shootings, 6, 8, 10, 12 is 12's probably high for most mass shootings.
Yeah.
The Connecticut was really high.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you look at a city like the city of Chicago. On any given weekend, the number of people who will die in one small section of that community will exceed most mass shootings.
That's
Yet never, ever on national news do we hear anything about it.
that's
Yeah.
really true.
Dom Rasso on the NRA commentator put out an interesting thing that I reported on last week, this at the end of this week. In something Gary just said, and I'm not critical here, it's like the media always refers to this as shootings
Oh,
as opposed to murders. And if we say murders, we're talking about the person having evil intent. If we say shooting, the concentration is on the tool that the murderer used and not the evil intent itself.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, anything else on the DGUs before we carry off to break here?
Yep.
Mhm.
Not hearing anything, so I need to mention that we have links to each of our news and defensive gun use articles at PoliteSocietyPodcast.com if you want to share them with a friend. We're going to go ahead and jump off to break here, and when we come back, we've got a tips and tricks segment with Kathy Jackson, and then we'll be back with our regular show close. So hang on, everybody. We're right back right after this. And since nobody's paying, I'm not going to run the free ads. I'll add them in when I do my editing tonight.
We do another ABN ad?
We sure can, but let me record it.
Okay. Whenever, not now necessarily. But...
Yeah, now necessarily because this is our last break.
Okay.
So, just a second here, Gary.
Okay.
I do need you to lean a little closer to the mic though when we do that.
We will.
All
Okay.
right.
John, you want to fix that link I threw in?
Yeah, I was actually just going to link to the YouTube on that.
Oh, I linked to you.
Okay, leave it then.
How's our chat room going? Is there anybody there? Is there any activity going on, Susan? Nah, pretty dead, huh?
Yeah.
2 people, and she's
Must be a nice weekend out there.
yeah. Oh, well, it's a little rainy, and everybody. I think we're dead here because Rib Fest is going on, and
That's right. Yeah.
Leonard Skinnerd. There's a whole bunch of big name bands that are playing here in Sioux Falls today.
Well, are you guys getting hit by the tornadoes?
We've had really good thunderstorms, but no tornadoes today.
Because we saw stuff kind of coming up that way, and I was like, ooh.
Okay, Paul.
Wyoming got some, but we haven't really gotten anything in South Dakota here so far.
Wyoming? Really?
Wow.
Yeah. Well, Wyoming's got the same, the eastern
Sure.
part of Wyoming,
Sure.
same topography we do here.
Yeah.
Gary, Gary, do you want me to write Gary into the show close?
Please.
Okay.
We need to add him to the open somehow too.
Okay.
And I need Gary. I need to get you. I keep in the back of my head. I need to get Gary's email address going, but I just haven't yet.
You have to be home.
One slow piece at a time.
I think there was a
John.
song like that.
Sure.
I built it one piece at a time, and it
Yeah,
didn't
that
cost
cat-
me a dime.
The Cadillac.
Yeah.
That's
It's
a great
50,
song.
51, 52, 53.
Gary.
Say again.
The lineup for Ribfest tonight, why no one is here. Hetty started out the night, Foghat, and Leonard Skinner comes on about 9:30.
It'll be packed for that.
Mm.
I gotta
Good
drive.
old Southern Rock.
I gotta drive right past that thing to go home.
Or swing up to Russell.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, with all that construction, thank you, no.
Oh, okay. I can only suggest things.
Put your windows down and you can go to a free concert.
There you go.
Susan, can I get a drink of your soda, please? Mine ran out, and I don't want to slurp on air.
Okay, Gary, I wrote you into the close.
Okay, I'll look at it.
You say, be aware, right? You get the next to last line.
All right, Gary, are we ready to do this?
Ready to go?
We are ready to do it when you are.
Okay. When we come out of the ad, yeah, I'll just carry it in. So, okay. Coming back in 5. So, Gary, we want to talk a little bit more about the specials you got going on here at ABN that you got just for the podcast listeners and the Facebook fans.
So there you go, ABN Tactical's Facebook podcast special. Just a little continuation. We also are going to be offering some K-bars. So we got the U.S. Marine Corps K-bar.
Mhm.
Normally be $148, down to $104 just for our
Nice.
guys. U.S. Air Force survival knife, normally 104 down to 73 just for our.
Didn't I see a folding K-bar on there?
Well, I don't have any folding K-bars on our special.
Oh, okay.
I have folding K-bars in the store, both the mule and the small pocket ones, the new ones. We've got both those. The other one we have is the K-bar short Tonto, which we haven't actually carried in the past. Now we're carrying here in the store. In the store, they're 106, and for our podcast listeners, they're $75. So
That's a good.
26 bucks off. Yeah, these are really good specials. We won't probably not run anything like this again, on a regular basis, other than maybe for the podcast people. We'll pick another set of products later on. But this stuff that we're doing here is special just for the podcast people to join us up on Facebook.
So now in order to get this, they have to call the store. They got to talk to you.
Well, they don't have to talk to me because my staff's fully aware of it now.
Okay.
They're all good to go. But we picked out certain limited items, and the reason we're asking you to call the store is because we're checking those off the checklist. So, as I said, for example, we have 2 black, 2 tan, and 1 OD of the military-style watches, some of which are gone already. So if you're going to get a K-bar, I only have 2 at that price. At the 104 price instead of the 148, I only have 2. So if we get 2 calls tomorrow for them, those 2 are gone. So our staff is actually checking the stuff off the list because there's going to be limited quantity for limited time because this is quite a deal. So
another reason that listeners, if you're listening to the podcast, you really want to watch the live show because you get a 2-day jump on everybody else.
True enough.
So what's the phone number that they want to call?
605-357-8855.
Very, very cool.
The other option is they can send me an email, okay, and then I can let them know whether or not it's gone or not. But that's the catch, is if they call on the phone and they want to order it, then they order it right there. We ship it out to them. If they send me an email, the email I may be sending back to them says, sorry, but we sold those 2 K-bars already, or we sold that pack already.
Right. And they can see the list of everything that's on special by going to your Facebook page.
Correct. Go to our Facebook page. The link is right there. I've got it pinned to the top, so you'll see it right where it says podcast and Facebook members. Here's your link.
And that's facebook.com/ABN Army Surplus.
Correct. That's
Okay.
it. Thank you, sir. Very
cool. Well, let's go ahead and mention that the Polite Society podcast download app is out for Amazon and for on Android and on iTunes. They are listed by our old name, Politics and Guns. The links to download them are in the show notes. And Gary, I think you're next, man.
All righty. Listen to other podcasts on the Crusader Podcast Network. We're also pleased to announce that we are members of the Gun Rights Network. So both those 2 places you can hear the podcast on. Please take your time to see what other kinds of programs they might have on those 2 networks.
We're experimenting with the show all the time. Please send us an email to tell us what you like or dislike. You can contact the show by email. Just send it to onair@politicsandguns.com to hear your email read on the air. If you'd like to email any of the hosts directly, just email their first name and then add @politicsandguns.com. Or you can call 605-215-1438 to hear your voice on the air.
That's 605-215-1438. Also, please check out Kathy Jackson's Cornered Cat training classes. Her next class that still has seats available is the weekend of July 12th and 13th in Walla Walla, Washington. Go to corneredcat.com for more classes and details.
You know, I was kind of hoping I would get that one at some point in the next few weeks because I really want to say Walla Walla, Washington.
I think you just did, and besides, you edit the show.
And that on a Wednesday, too. What a great name. Walla Walla.
Oh, yeah.
John, do you want to mention anything off your blog?
Sure. Despite the obvious relevance of my post about gunshot wounds infected with quote-unquote squirrel parts, I think I'll just mention a post from this morning. Friday, as we noted earlier, White House Press Secretary Jay Carney resigned and was replaced by Josh Earnest. While he does not,
Ernest, you're kidding me.
I am not. And while he does not appear to be anywhere near as smarmy as Jay Carney, and that would be a hard thing to do, of more concern to us in the gun culture is one of Ernest's former jobs. He was a communications director or communications advisor to none other than Mayor Bloomberg, back when Bloomberg first ran for New York City mayor. As I'd like to say, Ernest bears watching.
Ernest bears, yes, he does.
Yeah, and I don't know, I've seen a picture of this guy, and he was, it's bantered about that, Baghdad Bob. Well, this guy actually kind of looks like Baghdad Bob.
Just give him a beret and some glasses, and there you go.
There you go. All right. Well, also please check out the Shooters Club. That's Bob Main and Ben Branham put that together for $75 a year. Now that breaks down. You have to pay. You cannot. You got to pay for the whole thing. For the whole year, but it breaks down to $625 a month. For that, you get 24/7 access to some amazing training videos and audio podcasts you can't get anywhere else. Also, coming up the end of next month. And I say next month, knowing that we're at the end of this month. The end of June, Bob's giving away his M&P Shield, and there's a whole lot of other prizes. You could get an entry into any class that Bob and Ben have. You could get, they've got range bags, they've got practice ammo, they've got all kinds of stuff they're going to be giving away the end of June. And plus, you get great training videos. I mean, it's worth it just for the training videos. So give them a look if you do decide to go ahead and become a member. You're eligible for the drawing, and you do help out both them and you help out the Polite Society podcast as well.
And don't forget to join the National Rifle Association, Second Amendment Foundation, Gun Owners of America, and Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership. Joining 2 makes you a hero. Supporting all 4 makes you a superhero.
Since we mentioned those national organizations like SAF, they announced that you can start to make reservations for their conference coming up at the end of September in Chicago. I've made my hotel reservations. I'm looking for roommates.
Whoa, stop. No, he's not. He's found them.
I have? Oh, great. Evidently I have. Join your local civil rights group like the New Jersey Second Amendment Society, Arizona Citizens Defense League, Gun Owners of California, Connecticut Citizens Defense League, Florida Carry, Georgia Carry, Georgia Gun Owners, Grassroots North Carolina, Illinois Carry, Maryland Shall Issue, Michigan Gun Owners, Michigan Open Carry, and Michigan Coalition for Responsible Gun Owners.
Also, there's the Minnesota Gun Owners Civil Rights Alliance, Nebraska Firearms Owners Association, Citizens for a Safer New Jersey, New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, Open Carry Texas, Texas Firearms Freedom, Texas Association, Tennessee Firearms Association, Virginia Citizens Defense League, Virginia Open Carry, West Virginia Citizens Defense League, and Wyoming Gun Owners. Remember, if your state or local organization isn't read in each episode, send us an email and we'll add them, and I'm going to really shock everybody before they get a chance to say anything. I'm going to say this, and I might add it to every show we do from now on. If you belong to the National Association of Gun Rights, if you give them any money, please quit listening to
He's a bit of an irritating man, isn't he? I'll tell you. For our Canadian listeners and their supporters, please join the Canadian Shooting Sports Association and the Canadian National Firearms Association.
And until we find the billionaires for liberty, you and I have to fund Dr. John Lott's sociological research about firearms. I did, and now you can do it too. His effort is called the Crime Prevention Research Center, and it's on Indiegogo. We have a link in our show notes and also a link to his Facebook page.
Well, that does wrap it up. Boy. Well, that does wrap up another episode of the Polite Society podcast. Until the midweek show, everybody.
Stay safe.
Be aware.
And we'll see you down the road.
And my outro music isn't working.
Do 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 do.
La da 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 da. La da 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 da. Oh, that's not what how it goes. I'd like to thank our advertisers like ABN Surplus, Concealment Solutions, and NJ2AS for their support. Where are we?
You're in California. John's in North Carolina. Paul and I are in South Dakota.
Yeah, when we have Rachel in Texas, we got the country surrounded, guys.
Well,
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Live viewers, and there are some of you, thank you very much for watching live, and come join us again for the midweek show, or join them. I'm going to be on the road. And join us next weekend when you will hear, you'll see me dressed very strangely for next week's show.
What a come on.
yeah, you're going to tell them why?
You're going to watch Paul wear
Yeah,
strange clothes.
I'm going to be here in Speedo, and
Oh,
not going to happen, folks.
not in this store.
Not in this lifetime.
No, we've got the local Renaissance Festival, and Susan and I are the local nobility. We are the Earl and Countess of Shrewsbury are our characters, and
Oh, how cool!
yeah, we are Lord and Lady Talbot.
Wow.
I literally have read about Shrewsbury, England.
Mm-hmm. That's all.
I hate to say it, but I've been to Shrewsbury, Massachusetts.
Our characters we play own almost all of the town of Shrewsbury.
Ah.
We throw the way the fair works is we throw a celebration every year, and when the Queen comes to visit. So that's the fictional reason for the fair.
Oh, there you go.
All right.
Very cool.
Two to the local, what do you call it when it's on there? YouTube, right?
Right.
Okay, is that, just remember the Laverne, for those of us, because there may be some, southern Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
Laverne has got their parade this coming weekend. So we're going to take Gomer over for Friday evening and do the car deal, or the cruise, I guess they call it, the old-fashioned 60s cruise, and then Saturday morning the parade in Laverne, Minnesota. So any of the podcast listeners, come on over to Laverne and wave at Gomer during the parade time. Sounds like fun for the whole family for southwestern Minnesota and northeastern Iowa folks.
Cool deal. Now you're going to be all wrapped up and back here by the time we're ready to go live, right?
Yep, yeah, because we're live on Saturday night. So yeah, we'll just go over there. I'm going to stay over Friday. I'm going to go over Friday night for the cruise,
Mm-hmm.
hang out, listen to the bands, have the brewskis,
Mm-hmm.
and then stay overnight there so I can get up early for the parade with Gomer, and then come back rather than making the run back and forth. It's a chance to have a few
Adult beverages.
few of the adult beverages.
Sure. All right. I can't think of anything on my end we need to talk about before we go to. Well, let me just go ahead and thank you, live viewers. We're going to go ahead and stop the broadcast.